In today's podcast, I sit down with Mike, JJ, and Chris Dukart, and we talk about all new things and updates for the Deer Society and Illusion. We introduce the brand new Deer Society vlog and talk about some new products coming from Illusion, including the new extinguisher launching this fall. Mike goes behind the scenes and talks about a once-in-a-lifetime experience that happened to him last week, and we dive into what the deer are doing, how the growth is looking, and things to come for this fall.
The Deer Society podcast is brought to you by Illusion Hunting Systems, Onyx Hunt, Reveal Cellular Cameras, 10-Point Crossbows, Prime Archery, G5 Broadheads, Osseo Gear, Raw Frozen Scents, and HHA.
Thanks everybody for listening. We're going to get into right away just some updates. What's going on? What's new with the Deer Society crew? What's been happening behind the scenes in the studio? Lots of new updates, lots of new stuff going on. So I'm going to kick it right over to you, JJ. What have you been up to here the last few weeks, months?
Yeah, so we've been in the studio here, but it hasn't been for podcasts. So we've been doing some hunt breakdown interviews the past few months, kind of getting those rolling. I think we're going to have quite a big list of hunts releasing here from September all the way through December. So a lot of content coming out. Also a new video series we launched last week, the vlog, the Deer Society vlog. So that's kind of a behind the scenes look. We got some really good engagement right away on the first episode, kind of toured the Illusion shop, Deer Society studio, Almondai Productions, office space, and all the different things around here. But it's going to be kind of a cool series where we go behind the scenes, kind of look at product development, out in the field, we can do habitat work, and big buck goes down this fall. We can kind of go behind the scenes, track it, or do a lot of stuff there too. So got a lot of plans with that series, and just a lot of video work and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So getting orders shipped. I know Chris has been going wild and crazy with products, manufacturing, assembly. We got some big orders going out these next few weeks. So just a lot going on behind the scenes. Hopefully we can shift gears into velvet bucks soon. That's going to be the hope. But yeah, just a lot going on behind the scenes, and I'll just kick it over to you guys to kind of fill in where I kind of missed the updates.
Yeah, definitely crazy here right now. Just a whirlwind going through everything. A lot of new setup, a lot of new software things coming in, different processes we had to, implement and take over and things like that currently. So it's just like a lot of, behind the scenes, day-to-day back running things, getting revamped, re-implemented on top of the, we got the big order rush coming here right now. Here's when all like the big wholesalers, the big box stores, your Tractor Supplies, Walmarts, even, your smaller, more regional mom and pop shops, their first batch of orders are going out right now. And it's just trying to balance everything. You're dealing with vendors. You think you're ready every single year and just things come up every year is something coming up. So again, last night was another night of, throughout the whole night, you're just thinking, is that ordering it through? Okay, how can I get this order pushed through faster? Okay, what can we do to time things up so we can get this PO out? And it's just kind of all running full facets right now here on the back end of things. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and just taking a step back, I guess we never really talked about it much, but basically with the Illusion brand and Deer Society, we've taken on more control of that brand. A couple years ago, there was an acquisition where Mike wanted to golf a little bit more, so had some investors come in and buy most of the company, and we just kind of ran it and maintained minority ownership. But now recently we took back full control. We're really excited about the direction and some of the things that we're handcuffed on for the last couple of years. We're excited that we can kind of take the lead, take the reins, and really drive a new direction with content, products. So that's kind of why we started the vlog series too, is to kind of show behind the scenes now what we'll be doing with, today we're going to be doing a vlog about product development. So we'll get kind of the viewers engaged, talk about that. We got a bunch of new products that we're excited to release this year we'll talk about as well. But yeah, so there's a lot on our plate that was not on our plate the last couple of years. So that's why we sound like maybe we're a little bit overwhelmed or have a lot going on. It's because there was kind of a big change on the back end. So just kind of painting the picture of that before we get too deep into it. But what else we got going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll comment on that a little bit. There was a company restructure basically. And, I'm just going to kind of go back with a little bit of history about the whole Illusion and Illusion Company, because I don't think a lot of people know about that. But, as you all know, I had a full-time business. I started in waterfowl, created my first product. It morphed into an actual business out of the basement. And over about a decade or so, I went from, having a hobby, trying to go business, to a full-time business. And it was mostly waterfowl. And then I come up with this invention about a white-tailed deer calling system. And the company just went crazy and blew up. And yeah, Chris was over in Iraq. JJ was in college. We're in the great, a recession, and things were in a pretty rough place when we were working out of our home. And then we came up with this concept with the whitetail, and it took off. And 10 years has been 10, 15 years now. We are the leader in that category worldwide. So it's been a crazy ride. Things got so crazy and big so quickly. It kind of burned me out, to be honest with you. There was a year or so there where I hunted like one time, and that's what we do. And that's what the people love to see is, what are you doing hunting? Why are and to share that information. And so the boys grow up into the business as this process goes on, and I'm kind of grooming them to take over. And then I get a pretty nice offer to retire. Being a little burnt out on it, not being able to hunt that much. I'm like, you know what? Let's go for it. So we did go for it. And the particular model that this business that bought us, they were aggregators on Amazon. I don't know if people understand what that means, but there was this big push of, these companies, big Wall Street companies, big umbrellas with, international hedge fund money, that kind of thing. And they bought up top sellers on Amazon. And we kind of fit into that category. So we went in with one of them groups, and that model didn't work out so well. So it was maybe 2 years, or was it 3?
2.
It was, 2.5 years. And they kind of consolidated them because it wasn't working. And the company that we were under got consolidated. They got rid of companies that were not 100% Amazon only, which is us. We market, we invent, Chris, we're doing retail, JJ, and, you guys are doing all that content with marketing and entertainment and education. Anyway, long story short, I don't know how short it can be because it's already a long story, but we end up buying it back. So the company's completely being restructured, and I am no longer the majority owner. Now we're kind of handing it over to the boys. And so JJ and Chris run the day-to-day. They do it every day. I'm still continuing to stay what I call retired. Other people say you're not really retired. You're busy all the time. But to me, that's what retirement is. But I just don't have the responsibilities where I have to be here every day, and I get to golf a lot. And we found out that people kind of enjoy these types of stories. And I've been getting a lot of feedback on my social media saying, hey, looking for business advice and things like that. And I think a lot of people, they talk about that. They're like, what's it like to be in the industry, or how do I get into the industry? And I'm like, well, what does that even mean? When you make a broad statement like that, it could be anything. I mean, Bryan, you're in the industry, and you're not doing what we do. Right. JJ, you're in the industry, and I don't do what you do. Chris, I did what you did, but now I don't have to. Thank goodness. But no, inventing products, is it, what is the industry? To me, it was inventing products and actually helping people become successful. That's what drew me. That's what fulfilled me. And that's the direction I went. And the core to that whole thing for me was, and most people, if you look at business outside of the hunting and fishing industry, you build up a company as an entrepreneur, you come up with an idea, you build it up, and you position it for sale. That's where you make your money. You don't make your money building a company and having all this huge revenue that you can put in your bank account, because 90% of the time it doesn't work that way. And also 90% of the time, you won't succeed. Like Chris said, a great comment was, oh, we're running into this and then that and that, and that's what business is. Business is not a, idea that just goes smoothly and that works the way you want it to. Business is an idea that you have to grind and you have to figure out ways around all the problems you're going to run into, because truly you run into problems every single day. Every day. Some are huge problems and some are not such a big problem. But if you want to be a successful business person, you, in my opinion, what we did, you can't make it about yourself. Nobody even knew who I was for 20 years, but they knew what the extinguisher and the black rack were. You know what I mean? But they didn't know my name. I mean, we go to trade shows and I would make that comment. I go, we always make this about the hunter. All of our stuff is packaged with content that's going to show you how to become more successful. So really what we're doing is about you. It's not about us. So if you build that brand not around yourself, and it's a good brand and people like it and it becomes successful, now it's very, very sellable. And trust me, that's where you make your money. When you turn that company, that's where you make your money. So conceptually, that kind of happened. And, got to, we were just in a position where we got to buy it back. And, we're really happy and excited to be back. And now it's a restructure and we're changing things. And that's maybe kind of what we're going to talk about now.
Yeah, and in that process, too, we were coming out with a couple new products. The new extinguisher launches this year, so upgrade to that, the number one product we have. Got a little bit of a facelift. And then the black rack, we got a silencer that we've talked about a little bit. That's a new addition to that product. And then part of this acquisition, too, there was a brand called Mountain Mike's Reproductions that we acquired as part of the whole business acquisition. So cool thing with that one, which we're going to go behind the scenes today with a vlog, is looking at the hottest product in that line, which is the Skullmaster system, and trying to figure out what that looks like in the future. So we're going to get some input from you guys. We're going to talk about different options for how we're looking at it on branding, colors, things like that, different dip options. So as part of Illusion now, we'll have these DIY taxidermy line of products too. So kind of a cool little addition.
Yeah, some really cool new stuff coming. The vlog, touching on the vlog, you guys both mentioned it a little bit. The Deer Study vlog is something different than really what we've done before. Like I can tell you from an almond eye standpoint, it's different than what we normally do because we really try to push out high quality, highly produced, engaging entertainment content. The Deer Society, same kind of way, like the clean, high level content for the most part. What we're trying to do with the vlog, if you guys have seen the first one, if you continue to watch, it's going to be really raw. Like there's not going to be a lot of polish or shine to it. We're going to try to do it every week. And we really want to bring you guys in behind the scenes and show you what it's like from a raw standpoint. I mean, this stuff isn't made up. It's not staged or planned or whatever. It's just we're going to pick kind of engaging things that we're doing, what's going on with you guys, Mike, Chris, JJ around the office, and bring them to you. There's some really cool stuff that happens behind the scenes that, I think people could really not only learn from, but, kind of get some entertainment value out of. And, that stuff is not just from the business end of it. Obviously, Mike's going to be able to talk a lot about the business side of it, Chris from the operational standpoint, and just all around business side in the studio here. But one of the coolest parts for us too is going to be bringing you, JJ mentioned it, outside. So, doing some stuff out in the field, whether it's gear prep for the season or putting in food plots and showing you some of those, what those really look like and the work that goes into them, or, out in the field, hunts, somebody shoots a buck, we're able to go show them that. So, when you see the vlog and it comes out on a weekly basis, check that out because there is some really cool stuff that we're going to be showing you. And I'm more excited about that almost than anything coming up here this year. So
yeah, another cool thing I was thinking about the other day is, we work with a lot of partners in the industry, from bow companies, crossbow, trail cameras, different apps, things like that. When a new product launches, we can basically talk about it right then on the blog. So if we get, the new reveal cameras come in, which they're launching this next month, we can talk about them a little bit, show them off, bring them out in the field, start testing them basically real time. So
Yeah, I think Chris actually shot his buck before the prime bow was even released.
Yeah, you're probably one of the, if not
the
first
one.
person to shoot a buck with the new prime was the RVX last year. So
Yeah, and that's, the content that we can bring and we can capture. I mean, thinking, we're looking back at it, but I mean, we could have been there that first day that bow came in because they expedited mine. I think I got mine right before everybody else did. And I was in the local bow shop that day, getting everything put together, getting it tuned in, and then, we filmed that process. We would have also caught too that while I was there that afternoon, the buck I ended up walked by the water hole that I was going to be hunting that afternoon, but I couldn't get out there because it was more important to, build that content, build that story around, this partnership that we have with Prime. So that took priority, but then it took me out of the stand. So, I mean, it could have just been a little interesting behind the scenes thing, even with that, oh, shoot, he's getting this bow done. Oh, now look, oh, there he is. He's right there. He could have got prime time that day, but now he didn't. Fortunately enough, he did the same thing a couple more days later, and I was able to harvest him. But yeah, things like that.
Yeah, a little shout out to the local company that did set that up because it came in like late morning. And so he goes over to Coyote Creek here in Rochester, Minnesota. Hey, shout out to you guys. And they were literally standing there waiting to try and get this thing set up. I mean, it was a big deal. So it was pretty cool that we were able to pull that off.
Yeah, so Bow Shop got the first look at the new Prime. Obviously, that was our first look at the RBX too. And we also had Ben Rising in the studio filming us hunt breakdowns that week.
That's right.
And we were doing a lot of strategy talk, thinking about, should we fill up this water hole, yes or no? And, everybody had their opinion. I think Ben said, do it. You said,
yeah, I asked Ben. We were going, God, do I dare go in there and fill that water hole? Because it was last year was drought and hot. And I'm thinking, God, I think I need to get water in there. I don't want him to change his pattern. And Jay's like, no, you don't want to spook him. And I'm like, yeah, you got a point. And I'm like, what do you think, Ben? I mean, I go in there all the time filling him and hasn't, messed him up yet. And so he goes, I'd go ahead and do it. And so I had the electric Ranger.
Just came in?
Had just come in. And so we took the electric Ranger in there and kind of snuck in there and kind of whispered in, filled it up, got back in, whispered on out of there. And sure as heck.
And that was that evening.
And that was that evening that he came in.
I was at the bow shop.
Well, you were at the bow shop getting it fixed. Exactly.
crazy.
To that water hole.
To that exact water hole.
Yeah, that's wild. It's an interesting tactic that we're going to have to talk about in the podcast, just water holes and filling them versus not filling, that kind of situation. We have a hunt breakdown coming this year with a giant deer that one of our new Deer Society team members shot. And that's a pretty cool story. And he had kind of the same scenario, went in and filled a water hole that same day and ended up shooting that buck over that water hole that same night. And that's a giant deer too. So great hunt breakdown coming there from Mitch. So exciting stuff. But that's a great topic that I definitely want to cover in a podcast coming up and show you some behind the scenes stuff. I'm sure we'll be doing some vlogs of you guys filling water tanks this summer and coming into the fall here too.
Yeah, and one of the first hunt breakdowns we'll be releasing this year is actually Connor's hunt. River bottom whitetail that he shot. Actually, his property floods every year. And then the water recedes. He gets a fresh fertilizer laid down right on his soil every year. So water comes in, water goes out, and then he plants these plots and they just absolutely explode. Well, this year, right now, currently, his blinds that are probably on 10, 12 foot stands, so 20 feet to the top, 18. Yep. His blinds are underwater. So the dam in Mankato broke.
Oh, they might even be downstream. They might even be gone.
So yeah, we'll see what that hunt breakdown looks like. But he doesn't have any issues with filling water holes this year.
Yeah, that's that dam that's been going viral online right now from just outside of Mankato. He's actually just downstream from that dam. And it's got, just bypassed the dam basically. I think it's almost taken a house down with it too, Rick.
Yeah, the house is going to go.
Yeah, he's been flying with the drone that his property here almost every other day, just watching that water level. And it's been just creeping up and his blinds have been staying out. And now his blinds are underwater, and he's a little depressed right now, trying to figure out what the plan's going to be for the year of hunting. But it'd be pretty cool to see how that water seeds, and what the game plan is, and strategy that goes into hunting that property this year. It'd be a cool one. I have a sneaky hunch that he'll figure it out and get out a big buck.
Well, it's crazy because every year this happens to some extent. It seems like water raises. It's just a low-lying property down that river bottom. But they're usually able to get corn and beans in early. But this year, it's timing-wise, it'll be even a stretch to get in that fall mix, that primetime mix. So I guess we'll follow along. Maybe we'll do a little vlog update there with Connor's hunting situation.
Yeah, I'm sure this is problems that everybody deals with too, in various different ways. You plant something early, you get no rain, and all of a sudden rain comes in. Maybe you have to, reassess what you're going to do for your food plot because of drought or because of flooding. You might have planted it flooded. So, different techniques and just, again, problem solving. How can you get around these issues that, are just out of control sometimes, and you just have to figure out a different way to strategize around it.
Well, that year that we had, what were they, army worms? What kind of worms were they? They came in and we had just
There's always something. Yeah, we had the army worms come in from the neighbors when they harvested some type of alfalfa crop or something, and they came in, wiped out our food plots. So that was not ideal. Last year, extreme drought, scrambling just to try to get something to grow. So there's always something, just never ends, and that's what makes it fun too. Maybe a target buck dies early, or just there's so many variables throughout the hunting season that you just keep kind of adapting to. I guess it's like the business comment, there's always problems arising, and you just got to keep solving them, try to get to that finish line. So
try to stay positive, because usually it's not the end of the world. You feel like it may be sometimes, but I don't know. Just hang in there.
There's only so much you can control, and so much changes between now and the hunting season too. Like I'm all about being prepared, for the hunting season, putting in all the effort on the front end, doing as much as you can. But no matter how much work you do, I feel like, when September, let alone November gets here, there's so much that changes, the deer's behavior, the deer's pattern, you can be as prepared as you want, and still the dang thing might not do what you exactly want it to do. So, it's just adapting. It's trying to control the things that you can control at that time. And that's it. There's some things you just can't control, like the weather,
Yeah. You could be sitting at field edge and all of a sudden 3 trucks pull up and a combine goes out there. It's like, oh man, but maybe he gets the field halfway done and the deer creep out at the magic hour. You don't know.
Yeah.
But it is kind of crazy.
Well, getting into late June here now, almost July. I can't believe time is flying the way it is. It's getting to be exciting already. I can't believe we're saying that. But, we're seeing some of the team members sending in pictures of big deer, great growth already, which is exciting. What have you guys seen from a growth standpoint so far? You got cameras out yet? What's that look like?
Not running too many cameras. I'm going to kick that off in July pretty heavily. I was going to say we need to cover one more thing non-hunting related before we get into the hunting. What happened last week?
Well, I was going to save that for the dessert, like the icing on the cake, but get into it now.
Oh, it's big, folks. This is big. Stick around for it. Trust me.
Who's going to walk through it?
We'll save it for the end. Let's talk a little bit of hunting.
Oh, man.
So July, like I said, the new reveals are launching this next month. So we're going to be getting some of those. Hopefully one of the first shipments we can get our hands on some of the new cameras, get a look at them. It sounds like they're a really cool model, some new features, and we're going to get those out and start running those video modes and trying to get as much velvet content as possible. Also, since this time of the year works well for velvet scouting because it stays light so late. So, guys with kids, we can get the kids down, help out around the house a little bit, and then we can take off with the lens, with the binos, and check for some velvet bucks. So that's kind of on the upcoming list these next few weeks, to start doing a little bit more velvet scouting. I've been surprised to see how far along some of these deer have been as far as growth. I don't know if it's all this moisture or if it's just the early shed bucks that, started growing early. But yeah, there have been some big deer right now that I can't believe in June have racks that are that fully, matured, I guess you call it.
Well, my little update is I did a lot of turkey hunting this year, and how in the world I did not get a bird, I have no idea. I mean, you couldn't have as many chances as I did and have such bad luck where something would happen where I just couldn't get a shot off or get the camera, just one of those days. But anyway, I saw bachelor groups during the spring turkey, which was pretty cool because usually we don't see a lot of bachelor groups because we have a pretty good doe population and they don't seem to mix well. And then they have their fawns because of the habitat. We got great habitat for for them to have their fawns on the property. And then we have the early food for nutrition for them, for the fawns and for the does, for producing milk and things like that. But it was pretty neat to see these bachelor groups of bucks. And of course, the one, have we talked about him yet? But anyway, he's been on our radar for multiple years, kind of a buck that you can easily identify. He's got a couple of patches, white patches on his neck. We call them patches. And we saw him this spring, so we know he survived. And so there's some pretty cool stuff going on out there.
For sure. Yeah, it's exciting. We like to do a lot of velvet scouting too, from the road and just, long lens, looking with the binoculars and kind of evaluating. It seems like we're going to get into July here. Deer are going to keep growing and July is going to fly by. And then, get into August and it'll be, food plot time. Like we'll be hammering food plots and then food plots will be over and we'll be ready to rock and roll and hit the tree stand.
Mushrooms, yeah, we got the mushrooms too. We had a pretty good crop of mushrooms this year.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys found some mushrooms out at the property, didn't you?
Yeah. And I found 2 sheds while I was mowing. That was pretty cool too.
That's awesome. Got a couple of fawns we saw those fawns the other day right out here behind the shed. They're behind the shop here. I know you saw them the other day. You walked out from a meeting and they were out there, and then we were out filming just the other morning and walking all around, and all of a sudden they were both bedded down right on the hillside right behind them. They jumped up and kind of did their thing there, and so that's kind of cool. We got 2 fawns right out behind the shop here.
That's cool.
So lots of good stuff coming. I guess, maybe we should talk about this small little thing that happened last week, unless you got anything else to talk about.
It was on your birthday, and it was your special deal, Jay, so you tell us about it.
It was my birthday, so we went golfing. The first ever Almond Eye versus Deer Society or Illusion golf outing. Actually, we'll call it the Deer Society
Scramble.
Yeah, first ever
we'll call it the first ever, but it's going to be an annual now. In fact, we might need to bring in some outside teams.
Well, the way Almond Eye played, you're going to have to bring in some outside competition.
So, Team Illusion won. I don't know how many holes it took, but got the job done. And then the very next hole, actually, we all stepped up. We're all golfing together, so 8 guys, 4 carts, 2 scramble teams, par 3, about 180 yards. Pretty cool looking hole. Like you could see the entire green and the flag the whole way, so good visual. Couple of us stepped up, hit some shots, not bad, missed the green. Then the old man steps up with the full round rim, Bill, full style.
I got to wear a bucket hat for
Bucket
health
hat.
issues now.
Pulls back. What did you hit, driver?
It's on a par 3.
I think he had 6-iron. That's pretty good. 6-iron, right?
I hit a 6-iron off of that hole pretty much all the time. And we had just a little bit of breeze. And with all that rain, I grabbed my 5-iron, which
5.
the only time I ever use that is when I'm trying to do a knockout out of the woods. I hardly ever use that club. It's probably my least favorite club in the bag. And I checked it with the distance, and it was 184 playing once, or 180.
Playing 178.
184 playing 178. And so I get up there, didn't really hold back, let her fly, just pured it. And I'm like, oh crap, this thing's deep, it's over. And if it rolls off this green, it's in the woods. And I'm like, oh man, it's going, it's deep, and I'm like, no. And I seen it hit the front third or about the middle of the green. I'm like, oh, great. And just a big sense of relief. So I pick up my tee and I turn around and I'm walking back. And all of a sudden I seen Chris. I've never seen him go so crazy in my life. It's like, oh my God, and jumped up, and 6 other people are doing the same thing. And right away I knew what happened. It's like that thing went in. My first ever hole-in-one. And just so people can understand this, how much it meant to me, is I golf over 100 rounds a year. Over the last few years I have since I retired. And I didn't think I'd ever get a hole-in-one. I mean, I've been close plenty of time. But for that to happen, it really meant more to me to see the reaction of my boys and the crew that I was with and the excitement. I went crazy too. And but that meant more to me than you could ever imagine. And it was just such a special moment. And yeah, no longer a virgin.
And not a camera was rolling. It's all just ingrained in our brains.
Yeah. That's a memory that lasts a lifetime though. I mean, that was so cool. You walking back, it was like it's like a movie scene in my head. Like, we're watching from the back of the tee box, all of us, and we can see what's happening, like watching the ball, and you're walking back towards us, so you're kind of in between that where we are and the green, and that ball just disappears, and like these guys just go crazy. Everybody's jumping up and down. Just such a cool experience. We did get the camera out and film walking up to the green though, and we'll have to share that at some point. But yeah, unreal experience. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I've never seen one in person before. Now both these guys have one. I don't have one, so I guess I'm the only one without one. But I don't know what I was expecting. I just saw it as rolling at the cup, and I'm just like, well, I think it can maybe kind of go in, or it's gonna go close to it. I'm like, that'd be crazy if it went in. All of a sudden, like when it actually went in, like just the rush that I felt, like I don't know, it was just like I got this huge adrenaline rush too. It was pretty crazy. Yeah.
8 guys on the tee. 7 of us got to watch a hole-in-one. And the guy that shot was picking up his tee.
Like I said, though, everybody says, oh, you should feel, they think I'm going to feel bad about that. But I actually am glad I was watching you guys, because I've seen a hole-in-one. I didn't know it was a hole-in-one, and it was this guy sitting right here. We were around Soldiers Field. I think it was hole number 14. What about $140, 45, 50, something like that. And he hits one, it's tracking the pin, and there's a sand trap kind of guarding the green on kind of the left side of the green. The pin was left center, and it's just tracking the pin. I'm going, oh, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And all of a sudden, we didn't see it bounce. I'm like, did that go in the sand trap? And it's like, no, because the pin isn't behind the sand trap. So it was tracking the pin, and he looks over at me and goes, I think I dunked it. And then it hit me. I goes, I think you dunked it. So we jumped in the cart and just flew down there and went, and there's a half moon at the edge of the cup that was knocked out. And that ball, it didn't bounce nothing, just dropped right in the pin. That was very cool.
That's awesome.
But that was nowhere near the rush of 8 guys watching it, hit the middle of the green, break left, keep rolling, roll, and then drop. So
that would have been crazy.
Pretty crazy.
Catch that on film.
Yeah. All I know is insanely memorable day, and I'm so glad that it's memorable and will always be memorable for Mike's hole-in-one, not Deer Society kicking Almondie's ass. But anyways, that's...
Hey, with that being said, I got the ball, and everybody's like, oh, keep the ball in the scorecard. I got you. Here's what we're going to do. This is the first annual, and we've talked about having a Deer Society festival for 5 years. Have people come, check out the place. We'll have our pro staff here. We'll do some seminars. We'll have some music. We'll have a party, give away a bunch of products, have our sponsors, be represented, and just have like a really, really just fun time, and a golf tournament as part of that as well. So we're going to take that ball, and Bryan Clary, our food plot guru, he's actually a woodworker as well, and he's done a lot of the stuff here. In fact, that beautiful table you saw, if you watched that video in our conference room, he made that out of Minnesota walnut. And anyway, long story short, he's going to make this trophy, plaque, whatever, for the annual one, and that ball will be on it because it's such an iconic event, Yeah. So yeah, I think it's not going to be long. In fact, give us feedback. Would a Deer Society festival type thing with a golf tournament and, some entertainment and food and beverages. Would that be something that, people would really like to attend? If so, let us know, and we will do it. We will do it.
Yeah, for sure. Leave feedback on that, and any feedback that you have, anything more that you want to hear about, any questions you have, feel free to shoot us a message, Deer Society Illusion, on social media, email, website, call JJ's cell phone, whatever you need to do. But
It's fun.
8675-309, sorry.
309, something like that.
But no, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we really, we have a blast around here. Everybody busts their butts and works so hard to bring you the content that we bring you and bring you these incredible products that hopefully make you more successful and have a better time in the outdoors. Not only did these guys up here bust their butts, but we have a blast doing it, and that's what we're trying to bring you more of here in the future and throughout the fall and in the coming years. So definitely check out the vlogs. Check out Deer Society on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Drop your comments in. Would love to hear from you. We appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next time.
The Deer Society podcast is brought to you by Illusion Hunting Systems, Onyx Hunt, Reveal Cellular Cameras, 10-Point Crossbows, Prime Archery, G5 Broadheads, Osseo Gear, Raw Frozen Scents, and HHA.